there any purpose in our life? A talk given by Venerable Kesari Dhammananda Thera at Hong Ming San Pokaksi Temple, Singapore. In discussing this topic, I will try my best to contribute something for you to think about. Is there any purpose in our life? A talk given by Venerable Kesari Dhammananda Thera at Hong Ming San Pokaksi Temple, Singapore. In discussing this topic, I will try my best to contribute something for you to think about, but I cannot guarantee that I can tell you what that special significance or purpose of our life is. Before we discuss the purpose of life, we must try to understand what life is. Not knowing what life is, no one can understand its purpose. There are various explanations given by different religious groups, great thinkers, philosophers, scientists, rationalists, and freethinkers. When we think without bias about what they have said, we feel that there are many contradictions and differences in their concept or way of thinking. Anyway, I'll try to point out certain interpretations from the Buddhist perspective. As explained by the Buddha, life is not ready-made or created, and man is not a fallen angel. Rather, he has been described by a writer as a rising animal. Life is a combination of mind and matter. Mind means four kinds of mental energies, which are feeling, perception, mental tendencies, and consciousness. Matter means four kinds of elements, which are solidity, fluidity, heat, and motion. When these energies and elements combine together, life will be originated. The combinations of these energies and matter together as in a bundle result in rebirth. After that, we give them different names according to our different perceptions. The existence of these aggregates in harmony as a bundle is called life. Disintegrations of these matter and elements is called death. The recombinations of these dispersed matters and energies is called rebirth or existence again. This is the definition given by the Buddha about how life comes into existence. Life did not come into existence accidentally, without any cause. It is the effect of many causes. Later, this life will become the cause to create further effects. This is the way how life processes continue successively. The scientific analysis of the structure of protein molecules, amino acid, ions and their activities in the cells, which can hardly give a clear definition of life. However, this is not the first beginning of a life. This is the way how life processes continue. So, when we consider this phenomenon, it it is very difficult for us to give any specific significance or purpose to our lives. To some people, the purpose of life is just to experience sensual or worldly pleasures. Those who believe that the life is created by the God thank Him for giving them this life. Those who could not satisfy with their life ask, why were we born to this world to suffer like this? Is it necessary for us to suffer in order to gain eternal life? If it is so, why suffering is not compulsory? Then some other philosophers say, how nice if we were not born to this world. To many people, life is a big burden. They say, we hate this life. Instead of finding an eternal life, some people ask, what am I going to do with this life? And when can I see the end of this life? This is the way different people think about this life. Scientists also cannot explain the real purpose of our life. In fact, they have made human beings to do many wonderful things like traveling in space and to understand many wonderful things in this world. But they have not really made better human beings out of us. We must try to understand further how to make good use of this life in proper manner. Although we cannot single out any specific purpose spelled out by the Buddha, we can use this life for any purpose in any way we like. This is the easiest definition that I can give you about what the purpose of life is. The purpose of life is for us to make the best use of it to give us nobility, dignity, and selfless bliss. Human life is noble compared to all the other living beings on this earth. Human beings are the most fortunate. They alone have the potential to cultivate and to realize the aim of their lives. Other living beings have no such ideas or facilities to understand what this life is and how to develop it. Even then, besides emotional feeling or instinct, many animals exhibit certain degree of intelligence. Some animals not only possess sensory organs superior to those of human beings, but also possess extraordinary instinctive power that no man can equal. Some insects can pre-recognize the change of weather. Some use the profound scent for corresponding. Some transmit rather weak electrical impulses to send messages, though their behavior is strongly governed by instinct. Animals lead a normal and natural life by using their animal instincts, but humans do not lead a natural or normal life by using their human intelligence to maintain human dignity. Unfortunately, we have developed many misconceptions due to our ignorance. The mind is clouded with various concepts, beliefs, imaginations, and is also influenced by others. That is why we are confused and unable to understand what is wrong with our life. I think that there is nobody in this world who can say that he or she is completely satisfied with this life. Whatever we may gain as pleasure or material things, in the end, one day, we experience some sort of unsatisfactoriness which creates more worries. Assume that we could manage to overcome some of our problems or conquer the whole world or the whole universe. But do you think after gaining everything that we want, we can be satisfied? This is the nature of the human mind. It is impossible to satisfy the burning thirst of man's craving or anxiety. The more we supply, the more bodies needs or satisfy our senses or the mind, the more the craving increase. Why do we become crazy towards advertisements which create temptation for liquor, sex films, and gambling, and many other kind of immoral practices? Is it not due to our craving? Why do we get involved in violence, whether directed against those of another race, culture, religion, or politics? It is not due to our hatred. Why do we always commit acts of plain stupidity and maintain silly ideas as truth? Is it not due to our ignorance? Let us look within and see where the mistakes are and what is wrong with ourselves. That is why the Buddha says, mind is responsible for everything. Now, let us see what the Buddha has said regarding all these problems. He says there are three main causes for all these problems. They are craving for pleasure, craving for existence or becoming, and craving for annihilation. When this mind is properly trained and balanced, the purpose of life can be experienced. If not, it is impossible to find out complete satisfaction in our life. Those who have learned how to maintain some sort of contentment in their life by calming their mind and not arousing their senses, experience some sort of satisfaction. That is why the Buddha says, Santutti Paramam Dhana. Contentment is the highest wealth. But many people have not yet realized how to maintain this contentment. In fact, they are running after mirage in searching the purpose of life. We never realize this until we get into trouble or until we get fed up or disappointed. Then we start to grumble, accuse others, and worry and get angry. Nobody is willing to admit his or her mistakes, weaknesses, or ignorance, but is always ready to accuse others. If we can understand this situation, I think we can minimize many of our worries, sufferings, and problems that we are facing today. Our egoistic ideas and ignorance are deeply rooted. In spite of various troubles and calamities, we like to fight in order to gain more and more. Today, you can see that the whole world has become a battlefield. It looks like a lunatic asylum, where everything is in a chaotic condition. Life is in danger. Everybody is shivering with fear and suspicion and burning with anger and jealousy. Man's inhuman behavior has created this chaotic situation and miseries. In fact, man has turned the whole world into a time bomb. At any time, the explosion can take place. Today, this is not a safe place for us to live without fear, and we are ignorant of this. The religious life is important to defuse this bomb, to prevent the explosion. In the chaos of the world, we humans live in perpetual insecurity and confusion, constantly searching for something that can give our life meaning, a sense of stability, of permanence, comfort, hope, whatever. But the method that we have adapted to gain that are not always the correct method. Is it possible for us to find out why man behaves like this? Why the world is filled with evil? Is it possible for us to discover the cause of all human sufferings and unhappiness? Is it possible to find the cause that could produce peace, happiness, and real development? Is it possible to find out how to save mankind from disaster? If we can answer these questions, we can perhaps find the purpose of life. Why do people want to kill innocent people? Why do they want to lie and swindle others? These are the main problems that we are facing today. We accuse others for these problems. Some people blame God. Some others accuse devil. Their idea is that others are responsible for all these problems. They say that God is responsible for all the good things and the devil is responsible for all the bad things. But we never consider that God and the devil both exist in our mind. One scholar has said, man is not what he is, man is what he is not. That means man does not live as a real man. Therefore, man must change his way of life. Some others say that as long as we live, we must enjoy ourselves. Otherwise, we are going to waste this life. While they are preparing to enjoy this life, they may die and never get the chance to enjoy themselves, because life is the most uncertain thing in this world. If we lead only a worldly life, simply by enjoying sensual pleasures and neglecting all the important good qualities and duties, we will have to depart from this world as unsatisfied or frustrated human beings. How many people can depart from this world happily? People maintain fear and tension when they are going to die because of that unsatisfactoriness. So, the purpose of religion is to teach us how to overcome this unsatisfactoriness, to maintain contentment and to carry on our way of life as respectable human beings without abusing and polluting valuable human minds. Although we have human intelligence, ignorance misleads us. Because of that, we have no chance to open the mind to understand the truth or facts of life about this world or universe. We have created our own imagination by depending on various traditions and beliefs introduced by primitive people without analyzing them. If you think without bias as human beings, even without depending on any belief, then you can understand what this life is all about and why we are here and what we are doing and what will happen to us in the end and whether we are happy or not. Buddhism encourages us to think freely without even depending on the Buddha or any holy book or supernatural beings. We also should not try to justify that only our beliefs or traditions are completely correct and others are wrong. In that respect, religious labels are not important for us to understand the truth. Truth does not belong to any religion. There is no particular religion that can monopolize the truth. And also, the truth cannot be understood through logic or arguments. The truth has no religion. But true religion can guide us to understand the truth. The Buddha did not create the truth. He only revealed the Dharma or the existing universal truth. This can be compared to Newton's discovery of gravity. If we teach the real truth, that truth must be common to all mankind. That is why the Buddha says, the Dhamma or the truth remain forever in this world, whether the Buddha appears or not. We introduce the Dhamma as Buddhist truth, and our duty is to understand this truth by using our common sense and sense of reason. And we do not need to use the religious labels. Buddhism is criticized by some philosophers as a pessimistic religion because Buddhism teaches birth is suffering, existence is suffering, sicknesses and old age create suffering, and death creates suffering. In the end, rebirth also can create sufferings. Because of this interpretation, they try to brand Buddhism as a pessimistic religion. But if you think rationally, even without referring to Buddhism, you can experience whether you are really enjoying or suffering. Actually, every minute you are suffering, either physically or mentally. A well-known Western poet said, if all the mountains were books, and if all the lakes were ink, if all the trees were pens, they would still not be sufficient to depict all the miseries in this world. Although life creates unhappiness, it gives us unique experiences. The physical body is not life itself. It is merely the structure to maintain our life. Life is an energy supported by the elements. You know that living is a big battle. What we are doing as living is having a losing battle to maintain this life, to avoid suffering and death. In the process of the struggle, we experience little bit of emotional satisfaction. Some people mistake this as happiness. Actually, it is not happiness. Happiness cannot appear in our mind or heart if there is even smallest elements of fear, tension, or insecurity lurking behind. Happiness can be experienced only when the mind is completely free from these disturbances. Physical satisfaction that we gain by indulging our senses cannot create happiness. Always remember that the feeling that you have mistaken as happiness can turn into unhappiness at the very next moment. That is why there is no satisfactoriness in anything obtained by experiencing sensual pleasure or worldly material gain. But by training and calming the mind, we experience happiness. When there is no guilty conscience, we experience happiness. It is true that man must have some kind of emotional satisfaction got through the senses. But he has to experience this satisfaction in harmless way, not at the price of others' life, not by disturbing others. Those who believe that they can find the purpose of their life will realize that it is not possible. More and more crimes, immoral practices, and suicide cases and mental sicknesses can be seen in those so-called advanced countries whose citizens are totally concerned with developing a worldly life. Terrorism, drug trafficking, hooliganism, child sex abuse, gangsterism, hijacking, kidnapping, chauvinism, planting bombs, chemical poisoning of food, water and atmosphere, robbing, raping, vandalism, racial arrogance, religious fanaticism, murdering, looting, and many other cruel and inhuman activities are common in the so-called modern, educated, civilized, scientific society. People should not follow the law of the jungle by using physical strength only without using the heart that they can achieve the purpose of their life by doing so. Drug addicts can create some hallucinations in their mind. Religious fanatics can create dreams on fool's paradise. They may regard their concept and feeling as the purpose of life, but they do not realize the danger of their attitude. A religious fanatic is more dangerous than that of a drug addict. A drug addict can disturb only a limited number of people, but a religious fanatic can disturb or mislead the whole world. We can never gain that satisfaction by challenging others or by joining in the rat race. Only by calming the mind and leading a respectable and harmless life. Today, man can glorify himself by saying that he has landed on the moon and will soon conquer space. What did he gain by landing on the moon? Did he discover anything to get rid of disturbances, sicknesses, old age, and death? Nothing. If they had found some valuable things like diamonds or gold, today there will be a blood bath on the moon, because other countries also would try to land there and declare war to gain ownership of the moon. Man cannot change the chaotic situation here in this world unless he changes his mind to bring about peace and happiness and allow others to live peacefully. We have chosen the wrong path to seek the purpose in our life. The purpose of life to many people or understanding people is to reduce selfishness and to do some service to others by developing compassion and understanding, and by considering in sympathetic way how others feel, but not developing selfishness. In our ancient philosophy, it is mentioned, Parartha Charya Satangi Jivanam. The purpose of our life is to do some service to others. If we develop our selfishness without considering the welfare of others, we will never find any purpose in our life. Yes, service is the purpose. By serving others, we serve ourselves. We simply cannot serve others with selfishness, cruelty, cunningness and jealousy. Animals kill and destroy others for their living, but human beings kill and destroy many things, not for their living, but either for fun or pleasure. But reducing all these evil thoughts, we can do a better service to others as well as to ourselves. Some people believe that the purpose of life is to serve God and to please God. But we believe that our purpose is to serve everybody to please everybody according to our capacity. When we maintain purity and happiness in our mind, we serve ourselves. Buddhism teaches, Rupam jirati machanam nama gottam jirati. Man's physical body turns into ashes, but his name or influence never dies. So, the highest service that we can render towards mankind is by developing sympathetic joy, by sharing happiness with others, and allowing others to live in peace without disturbing them. We know that many people organize various activities in the name of service, but on the other hand, some kind of ulterior motive or selfishness can be seen in them. Generally, the sake of name or publicity, or to influence others to bring them into their own religious group. Try to do some service to others within your capacity, without any ulterior motive. Otherwise, it is not a service. To maintain peace and happiness, a reasonable way of life is very important. You can pray many times a day and ask heaven to give you peace and happiness. Unless man cultivates his mind to understand things without bias, without showing any discrimination, it is impossible for us to find peace on this earth. When you read the United Nations Charter on Human Rights, you can see one of its main principles is recorded like this. Since war begins in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defense of peace must be constructed. Yes, they have repeated what the Buddha had said much earlier. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. Mind is the forerunner. Mind is responsible for everything. Understanding people place the mind above all the other things. When our minds are disturbed by anger, fear, and excitement, our digestive system will not work properly, and our body will be affected. When our minds are in peace, hormone secretion will be in order, and we will be able to live a healthy life. People are mostly troubled by their own mind, but not by external sources. In the world, there is nothing great but man. And in man, there is nothing great but mind. But unfortunately, man misuses this mind. If there is anything in this world that can destroy this world, it is neither God nor devil, but the man's mind. Man has already started to do that. Here we can understand where we are and what we are doing and why we are facing enormous problems in this world. Religion is important not only for praying and worshipping, and to perform rites and rituals, or to proclaim that our religion is progressing, the number of followers of our religion is increasing. Religion is to observe certain principles in order to live as cultured human beings with humane qualities. Otherwise, there is no purpose for a life. Today we can see how many religionists have created discrimination, hatred, jealousy, and how they blindfold man by introducing all sorts of unnecessary rites, rituals, and beliefs. They do not allow man to think freely. Actually, they are abusing our human intelligence and insulting our human dignity. They have introduced many things and beliefs just to satisfy man's anxieties, which are far beyond the truth. Why man is confused and unhappy with his numerous problems? Why he is always in trouble? Why is humanity corrupted with so many evils, wicked and crooked practices? And why are these evils fast increasing? Before we try to find out the purpose of life, we must find out how to eliminate all these evil habits from the man's mind. We have to develop our humane qualities such as unity, harmony, and understanding and patience. These noble qualities are essential for us to maintain peace and justice. According to Buddhism, mankind is categorized into 4 groups. Those who work for themselves but not for others. Those who work for others but not for themselves. Those who work neither for themselves nor for others. Those who work for themselves and for the welfare of others. One who works for himself and for the welfare of others is the one who has found the purpose of life. The purpose of life from the Buddhist perspective is not dictated by any supernatural being. After serving others and by serving ourselves, we cultivate all the great virtues. Then we experience mental and physical relief from suffering. Without leading a noble life, no one can find the purpose of life. Death is not the end of our life. I told you that the disintegrations of elements and energies is called death. Death is the beginning of another life. Everything comes into existence in this way. The end of one thing produces something else. When different formations take place, we give some other name for all those existing things. But the ingredients, elements, and energies are the same. Our behavior and purity and impurity of our mind and action are responsible for that. Those who are two-legged can become four-legged in the next birth if they have abused their human life. This is the nature of existence. If you develop the animal nature in your mind, that mind can condition an animal life in the next birth. But some people cannot understand how these differences arise. Some people believe that this is a ready-made phenomenon or that it is created by someone at once and our duty is to obey him and worship him. But we have no freedom to think according to our common sense or reason, and we become puppets or slaves and surrender ourselves completely to the will of somebody else. In that case, where is human dignity and intelligence? Buddhism never encourages this kind of mentality. Each person is responsible for his or her own life, be it pleasant or unpleasant, fortunate or unfortunate. When we are ready to accept this responsibility of creating our own destiny, we can understand our weakness and we can mold our present and future life. Human beings have three characteristics or natures: animal nature, human nature, and divine nature. Each person maintains certain degree of these natures. You can see that many human beings behave like animals because animals also eat, sleep, play, and experience sexual pleasure. They also experience sense pleasure. The majority of human beings also spend their lives just like these animals, simply by eating, indulging the senses and emotional feelings, and in the end, dying just like these animals. They have constantly unsatisfied desire. Animals have only animal instincts, but not understand kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, which are humane qualities. If we cannot develop these good qualities within us, it is very difficult to regard ourselves as real human beings. Then, what is divine nature? Of course, other religions may define this in different ways. But our interpretation is that the divine nature means a noble life. It is the most respectable, harmless life. In Buddhism, we introduce this as Brahma Vihara, the sublime state. Friendliness or goodwill, kindness or sympathy with patience, sympathetic joy or sharing of others' happiness or progress, and impartiality. These are the good qualities that we have to develop in order to achieve the sublime or divine state. When we develop our human mind to the maximum level by cultivating all the great virtues and qualities, by maintaining our human dignity, and by observing morality and discipline, we can attain this divine nature, that is nobility. Everybody irrespective of his religion, respect and appreciate such noble humans. That is why we pay our respect to such great holy religious teachers like the Buddha and some others, because they have trained, developed and purified their mind to the maximum. So, if there is any purpose in our life, this is the purpose. Because after reaching the peak of our life, we can see the end of our big battle to overcome all our suffering or unsatisfactoriness. That is the final goal, the end of our journey. Besides that, whatever we weave as purpose is uncertain, changeable, and create unexpected problems and disappointments. When we talk to each other, we usually talk about our problems, troubles, sicknesses, calamities, unsatisfactoriness, miseries, worries, and various kinds of disappointment. These are the things that we experience almost every day, but very seldom we get the chance to talk about our present experiences. Why do these problems always confront us? Problems and unsatisfactoriness exist as long as we exist in this world. And there is no planet in this universe where living beings can exist without facing some of these problems. But in this sensual world, where living beings are more crazy for sensual pleasure, experience more problems and worries. That is the main cause of all these problems. The more we reduce this craving, the more we calm our senses, the more we experience peace and happiness in our life. But this happiness is not altogether complete because, according to the Buddha, there are three characteristics in our life which are known as anicca, dukkha and anatta. Anicca means impermanency in everything. Dukkha, unsatisfactoriness or friction in everything. Anatta, unsubstantiality. Let us take our body and see how changes take place. Why do small children become teenagers? Why do youth become elders? This is called growing, but it is also changing. Why do elders become aged? And in the end, why do they die? This is called decaying. Simply by praying to anybody, we cannot change impermanence or uncertainty. The combinations of elements and energies condition a life. If this friction is not there, there is no existence. Scientists also fully agree with this interpretation. Now you can understand why life becomes unsatisfactory. This is because of this friction. It is natural. No one can stop this or can change this situation. This is the nature of existence. This is universal phenomenon. Many people believe that there is an eternal entity or substance which remains forever, which they call the eternal soul or Atma. But in the Buddha's teaching, we can find only anatta, means unsubstantial. When you define any life, any element, in fact, anything in this world, there is nothing for us to believe that this can remain forever without changing or decaying. Everything is subject to the universal law of impermanence. I think that various religious groups introduce this belief in a permanent soul to satisfy man's craving for existence. Buddhism says life is like a bubble which appears and disappears. Shakespeare has said that the world is a stage and every person is an actor. Some say life is a dream and liken it to lightning and to a dewdrop at the edge of a blade of grass. But everybody is craving for it, doing everything possible to preserve by resorting to any cruel means to satisfy its anxieties. The Buddha has advised us to concentrate on the body in order to understand the real nature of the body or life. Atta or soul is mere imaginary and has no concrete existence. If we can understand the real nature of these three characteristics, anicca, dukkha and anatta, we will be able to overcome many of our existing problems and worries which disturbs our mind. Otherwise, we always create our own imagination due to lack of understanding. To understand this properly, we had to study, analyze and investigate. Mere belief cannot reveal the truth. But some religionists try to introduce religion without allowing man to think and analyze. This is because they have their ready-made religious concept to hand over to their followers. They say there are religious laws which come down from heaven. Their followers should not create any doubts regarding these laws, because ordinary human beings cannot understand them properly. Their duty is to accept and believe without questioning. The Buddha completely rejected this kind of attitude and belief. He said, when you are going to accept any religious belief, you should not depend on any religious teacher thinking he is our teacher, or simply depending on holy books. Do not depend on your tradition and belief or imagination. You have human mind to think. Give your mind a chance to think. In fact, the Buddha did not want even to introduce a religion. What he wanted was to reveal the nature, the truth, the reality for us to understand, to know actually what is happening and why we are here, what we are doing, why we are not happy, and how to overcome and see the end of all our suffering. This is the Buddha's message. This was his purpose of becoming a Buddha. I have told you that in searching the purpose of life, we are running after mirage, not knowing what this life is and what this world is and what the nature of worldly conditions are. People are in search of life, how it springs and what it means. The Buddha says, Dukkhe loko patithito. The formations of this world is based on dukkha. That means conflicts. Here, world means everything that exists, whether life, matter or element. So, no one can live on this earth or in any world system without facing unsatisfactoriness or disappointment.